Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, February 27, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video, and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you guys utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the that's like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go out to the next 168 hours. That's the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represent inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. As we head into Friday morning, we can see some moisture surrounding the island. Look at the greens surrounding the island. And then as the day progresses, not much on land, but definitely during the afternoon, that's when most of the moisture starts to come in. That's when we're going to be getting on that daytime heating rainfall, as we can see here across eastern, central, and western parishes. Heading into Saturday morning, we see some moisture to the south of us, but not much on land. Then by afternoon again, across sections of central and western parishes, that's where the rainfall should be. Sunday morning, not seeing much rainfall on land, but we do see some isolated shores to the west of us, to the east of us. Then it's by Sunday afternoon that we start to see the rainfall across sections of central and western parishes. Monday morning, we see rainfall surrounding the island in the greens once again. Then we also see some rainfall across eastern Jamaica as we step into the latter part of Monday morning. So what we showed earlier was the early part of Monday morning. Now we're looking at 12Z on Monday, which is actually 7 a.m. and now we're seeing that rainfall across eastern parishes. Then by Monday afternoon, we see that rainfall not only across eastern Jamaica, but even central and western parishes for sure. Then as we head into Tuesday morning, in the early morning hours, we saw rainfall across the northern portion of the island. Then we saw some amount of rainfall across eastern parishes. Then by afternoon, it's across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes on Tuesday. Heading into Wednesday, we see that rainfall across the waters to the north of us, to the south of us. Not seeing much on land in the morning, but it's by afternoon that we start to see some isolated shores across central and western parishes. Then we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Thursday, March 6, 2025. We don't see much across the island right there, but we do see some isolated shores across the eastern portion of the Caribbean. A cold front right here stretching from the northern portion of North Atlantic to the east of the US, all the way down to portions of Florida, the northern Bahamas, western Cuba, and Central America. Let us match what we just saw on the latest Euro model to the latest GFS. Let's see if we have some consensus. Alright, so as we head into Friday, we can clearly see the rainfall across the waters to the north of us in the morning, to the southwest and to the east of us for sure. Then by Friday afternoon, the end of the day on Friday, we see that rainfall across central and western parishes. Very interesting. Heading into Saturday morning, we see some rainfall surrounding the island once again. Then it's by Saturday afternoon that we see some rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. It's more so afternoon rainfall that's in our forecast these days. Pattern has definitely shifted to that long-standing northeasterly flow of winds and rainfall affecting northeastern parishes. So it's definitely a good flip, because I'm sure the people in the northeastern section of the island, Portland, St. Mary, are tired of the rainfall. End of the day on Sunday, also showing some isolated shores across central and western parishes. We see rainfall surrounding the island on Monday morning. Then by Monday afternoon, we see that rainfall across sections of central and western parishes. Tuesday morning, we see that rainfall across northeastern parishes. also affecting sections of central and western parishes on Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday morning, we see that rainfall across northeastern parishes, also affecting sections of some northern parishes on Wednesday afternoon. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 1 job 68 hours. So this is also valid for Thursday, March 6th, and we see some isolated showers across the eastern end of the island, but we're also seeing the frontal system that we saw on the Euro right there off the east coast of the US, stretching down into portions of southern Florida, the Bahamas, western Cuba, into portions of Central America. And the fact that we have consensus with that frontal system is a bit concerning, showing that it could definitely happen, but is it going to be making it far east into portion of Jamaica to bring us some moisture by the first part of March, not to mention some cooler than average temperatures and some strong winds? We will see, only time will tell regarding that. Either way, in terms of the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Thursday, March 6th, we can clearly see that the most rainfall is represented by what we see here on the key on the right. We're talking about the reds into the burgundies, representing anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. We're also talking about the purples into the pinks, that represents 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. And we can clearly see that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be across portions of northeastern sections of the Caribbean, touching all the way up into the northern portions of the North Atlantic right there. We can also see rainfall across western portions of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica right here. We also see rainfall into Nicaragua, sections of Honduras, Belize, Guatemala, section of Jamaica, Cuba, the Bahamas, Hispaniola. We also see that rainfall into portions of Puerto Rico and the Eastern Caribbean, touching all the way down into the US and British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, sections of Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and Grenadines, Barbados, even sections of Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname and French Guiana could get in on some of that action too. And we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast for that rainfall. And we know that when they're in consensus or agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually occur. But we're going to be focusing our attention a bit on Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days. And we're seeing the consensus from the eastern end to the western end. We see the greens representing from 15 to 30 millimeters of rainfall. We also see some yellows here and there that represent anywhere from 30 maybe all the way up to even 40 millimeters of rainfall. A very interesting next 7 days for sure, but we know that most of this rainfall is going to be during the afternoon. Very interesting for the latter part of February into early March for sure, considering that we're still in our dry season. Either way, whatever happens, we'll definitely take it, and I'll be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, you can see a blue spike line right here across the southeastern US associated with the frontal system. Broken orange lines right here off the east coast of Florida associated with a trough. Another trough right here extending from the Dominican Republic all the way up into the northern portion of North Atlantic into a frontal system. And we can see the ridge of high pressure right here to the north that we know is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out all of the entities that we just mentioned. First of all, the clouds associated with the frontal system into portions of the United States. We can also make out the clouds associated with the trough to the east of Florida. We can even make out the clouds associated with the frontal system attached to the trough right here, extending down into portion of the Dominican Republic. And we can see the low to mid-level flow of the clouds being steered from east-west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean to the later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Thursday, February 27, 2025. It was stated that rainfall was in the forecast of parts of eastern parishes in Jamaica on Thursday morning, also affecting sections of some central and western parishes during Thursday afternoon. And we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, and we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, and we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? A post was actually made in the morning hours. Let me see if I can find it. highlighting the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery, and it showed that we're definitely getting on some rainfall across the far eastern end. We're talking about eastern St. Thomas, intersections of Portland for sure. We definitely got in on some of the greens that represent some moderate rainfall. So that indeed confirms rainfall for eastern parishes. Then at around 2:36 p.m., the visible satellite image was also posted, highlighting some clouds, bringing some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, to sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes, but more so confined to northern Jamaica. We saw the action across northern St. Andrew, sections of western Portland, sections of St. Anne's, Trelawney, sections of Westmoreland, northern St. Elizabeth got in on the action as well. Then finally another post was made on our Twitter page with the Jamaica at around 4:35 p.m. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we may post throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So the infrared close-up satellite images were posted again, and they highlighted that we're indeed getting in on the thunderstorms. The convections are definitely back. Thunderstorm season is definitely here again, considering that we're about to head into meteorological spring in the month of March. Winter is definitely wrapping up, and we can see, and we spoke about the upper level wind shear yesterday. We highlighted that the upper level wind shear was coming in from the southwest, and we also highlighted in yesterday's video that if we get some thunderstorms today, the upper level wind shear would blow the high cold cloud tops off towards the east, and that's exactly what took place. Look at the thunderstorms that lashed portions of central and western parishes, bring those high cold cloud tops towards the east for sure, and we even can make out the sparkling white dots in there, especially across northern St. Elizabeth, southern St. James, eastern Westmoreland. Definitely bring some lightning strikes, lightning flashes to those areas for sure. And if we take a look at the visible satellite imagery of Jamaica before all was said and done with the day, we can see where we had that air piling up mainly across northern parishes, then across western parishes, and then pushing off to the east across central Jamaica. Definitely got some decent action. We even had a brief isolated shower across far eastern St. Thomas before all was said and done with the day, and then we lost the sunlight. Still getting in on some lingering showers as we speak. And even the infrared close-up satellite imagery right here still showing some activity across the western end, but the high cloud tops are starting to shear off to the east as we speak, as conditions start to wind down. Taking a look at the Crossroads cam from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing what's happening across Crossroads in St. Andrew. At around 2:30 p.m. we can see people walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather that took place today across the corporate area at all. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute from Meteorology and Hydrology website. This map does indeed paint a picture of where we had that rainfall today, mainly across section of some central and western parishes, with most of the activity across the northern end for sure, as we can see shaded here. And we have some comments here confirming what the rainfall was like in some person's area. We have Lawrence Davidson 6195 stating overcast most of the afternoon or evening in Mobay. We also have on our Instagram page Jovan Panton, Spanish Town sunny. We have Carl's tweet, Acadia cloudy. Even on our Facebook page we had Marcia Freeman, sunny with clear skies. Christiana Manchester, Jorini RJ, loud and heavy but brief shower. And even on our Facebook page right here we have Audrey Jackson, getting some rain in the hills of St. James. We are welcoming it. It has been dry and windy for weeks. And finally we have at least one comment here from our Twitter page, Jomar Park stating overcast in northern Clarendon now, but yesterday heavy rainfall and thunderstorms. Thanks for confirming the rainfall. Alright, so let us see what's happening right now. Let us look at the very latest still image from the Weather Nerd website. And we can see the latest still image is showing 0005 UTC, which is actually 7:05 p.m. So this just came out 11 minutes ago, considering that it's 7:16 p.m. right now. And we can still make out some clouds across the western end. We can also see the high cloud tops being sheared off towards the east, to the east, not the east northeast. Let me fix that. So it's still being sheared off towards the east, all courtesy of the upper level wind shear in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Unfortunately, we don't have the Cuban Doppler radar imagery to show the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery, not showing much of anything across northeastern Jamaica, but eastern Cuba definitely getting on some of the action. The western peninsula of Haiti getting on some isolated shores too. And unfortunately, the Cayman radar still down for maintenance, as well as the Jamaican radar. Alright, so let us see what's happening across the halfway tree cam. A bit blurry, but we can definitely see people walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business. Let's backtrack a bit, can we? Because it's so blurry. Alright, there we go before it got blurry. Yeah, definitely a fair evening across halfway tree. Very busy as usual. Traffic, people walking about, going about their business for sure. Alright, there the conditions for the evening should be fair as well. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, or where they should get as the night progresses, around 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Friday, temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Friday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Friday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight orange colors that we know represents up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures, as we can see here from the key on the right. And we know the normal temperature for the month of February across Jamaica is around 86.4 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted to degrees Celsius, that's around 30.1 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30.1 to 32.1 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Friday. Unfortunately, we have some maintenance outage advisories here to highlight from my JPS Online's Twitter page. I know that we have to highlight these because when we have power outages, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Friday, February 28, 2025. And we're referring to Douglas Castle in the parish of Clarendon from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And finally, we have Goshen as well as Lucky Hill in St. Mary from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Even although this is saying March 28, I'm pretty sure that this was an error because they don't make maintenance outage advisories at least 1 month in advance at all. Either way, we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, when outside, seek shade. Eat fresh, try eating cold food such as salads and fruits. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. So take a cold shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of drinking lots of water throughout the day. Even if you're not thirsty, drink lots of water and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. As we can see, the dry air map is still the same. We know that the dry air is represented by the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and what's within those reds. And we can see the abundance of dry air across the entire Atlantic basin, the most moist areas across the eastern Pacific, and the intertropical convergence zone, while the most dry areas right here off the coast of Africa and the reds and what's within those reds. While across the Caribbean, we can see a mixture of the yellows into the Bahamas as well. That's what we want to see. That's the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, that we know means some amount of moisture, and it makes sense that we've been getting some amount of rainfall recently, and we're indeed grateful for that, because we know that the dry air can definitely make the atmosphere stable and make it hard for it to rain. Either way, in terms of the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Friday, we can clearly see that the browns represent the Saharan dust should be across the main development region. That's the most vigorous plume right there. Even though we have some slight Saharan dust across portion of the basin, it's nothing too significant to cause hazy skies. You know that the only ones that cause the hazy skies is the dark shades of browns that can also trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses, asthma, sinusitis, you name it. So we're glad that this is the forecast for 2 p.m. on Friday. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see the light shades of blues into the darker shades of blues, extending from the Gulf into the northwestern Caribbean, the Bahamas, into portion of the central to the eastern Caribbean that represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. while the purples, that's the 2 to 3 meter wave heights right here to the north of Panama and Colombia, as well as to the east of the Eastern Caribbean right there, with the winds causing these wave heights for sure. We see the wind coming in from the east southeast from the Eastern Caribbean. East to west kind of flow across the central to the Western Caribbean. More from northeast to flow across the Western Caribbean. And we see the greens, some dull greens. We're talking about 5 to 10 knots across the Gulf into the northwestern Caribbean, but more so 15 to 20 knots across section of the central to the Eastern Caribbean, especially where the highest wave heights in the yellows. That's where we have the strongest winds. So it makes sense that wherever the strongest winds are right there to the north of Panama and Colombia, that's where the highest waves would be. And if we take a closer look at Jamaica regarding our wind forecast, we can clearly see the flow of the winds from the east. Winds should be averaging up to at least 8 knots on the north coast, up to at least 30 knots on the south coast. So it makes sense that with those winds, up to 0.7 of a meter wave height expected on the north coast, on the south coast up to 1.2 meter wave heights for sure. And we also see where the air is going to be piling up across inland areas of some central parishes, as well as across sections of some western parishes. That's where we could have the daytime heating, bringing us some afternoon rainfall for sure, maybe even some convection once again, with the upper level wind coming in from the, let's say, west southwest. If we get some thunderstorms again like what we got today, these high cold cloud tops will be blown off towards the east northeast for sure. Let us see where the rainfall is expected. According to the Euro and the GFS supercomputer model around here, at around 4 a.m. we see some rainfall surrounding the island. The GFS has most of the rainfall across the waters to the north of us, to the west of us, to the east of us. The Euro has most of the rainfall across the waters to the west of us, to the south of us. Some rainfall to the north of us as well. A very interesting forecast. Is going to be interesting to see exactly what takes place at 4 a.m. Then by around 3 p.m. now, look at the consensus for rainfall across inland areas of some central and western parishes, mainly central and western parishes, even although we have sections of Kingston and St. Andrews shaded, and those are eastern parishes. Even the Euro has something similar, but we're looking for the consensus, which is mainly central and western Jamaica. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens at 3 p.m. and we'll definitely be here to keep you posted on our other social media platforms. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing that within the next 24 hours it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica. The Euro going all the way up to 0.45 of an inch of rainfall, and the GFS going all the way up to 0.41 of an inch of rainfall. We'll see exactly what unfolds, and whatever rainfall that we get, we'll definitely take it happily, because we're in the month of February and we're in our dry season. In Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to 19 millimeters of rainfall for the month. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive up to 2.9 inches of rainfall for the month. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the month of February or for the entire year in terms of rainfall, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So, as stated, we have some low-level to mid-level clouds pushing from east-west from the Leeward Islands into portion of Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. We also see some rainfall across sections of Panama, Colombia right there getting in on some amount of rainfall, so too sections of Trinidad and Tobago. And if we see what's taking place right now across the northeastern Caribbean, we can see some isolated showers affecting Antigua and Barbuda. We see some rainfall to the west of the US and British Virgin Islands right there. If we load these images from earlier today, we can even make out some amount of rainfall passing through western Puerto Rico, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe getting on some of the action as well. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, not seeing much of anything across Barbados. No, we see some isolated showers to the east of there, maybe already affecting Barbados as we speak. We see some rain bands passing to the north of Barbados from east to west, pushing towards Dominica and Martinique. St. Lucia also getting on some of the action. Sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago getting on some of the action too. And if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall across sections of southeastern Hispaniola, Colombia right here getting in on some of the action too. And if we take a look at where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing that there should be some amount of isolated showers in store for portions of the Bahamas, Eastern Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the Libre Islands, sections of Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent. We also see some rainfall in store for a section of Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, southern and western Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, eastern Nicaragua, Honduras, and sections of Belize. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.